The city was still dark when the first subway doors opened. Not quiet, never quiet, just muted, like the city was holding its breath before another long day. Evan Rowland stood on the sidewalk outside a private elementary school he had helped fund 3 years earlier. His name was engraved on a polished metal plaque near the gate. Evan Rowland Learning Center. The letters were clean, untouched, perfect. He hadn't planned to stop here. At 46, Evan Rowland planned almost everything. Board meetings, acquisitions, media appearances, even charity, especially charity. But this morning his driver was late, for the first time in years. So Evan walked. His shoes cost more than most teachers' monthly rent. He knew that. He also knew he never looked at teachers when he passed them. Not really. They were part of the background, like the buildings, like the streets. Useful, necessary, distant. A security guard nodded when he recognized Evan. "Morning, sir." Evan nodded back, already checking his phone. That's when he heard crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just small, broken, like someone trying very hard not to be heard. Evan stopped. The sound came from behind the low brick wall beside the school gate. He hesitated. Someone else would handle it. Someone always did. Then the crying stopped. Silence like guilt. Evan stepped closer. Behind the wall, crouched on the cold ground, was a little boy. Maybe 8, maybe 9. Too thin for the oversized jacket he was wearing. One sleeve torn at the elbow. Shoes scuffed down to gray where black used to be. A backpack sat beside him. Unzipped, one strap broken and tied together with string. The boy was hugging his knees. His face was wet. His hands were shaking. Evan cleared his throat. The boy flinched hard and looked up. Big eyes. Dark. Alert. Afraid. "I'm not supposed to be here," the boy said quickly before Evan could speak. His voice cracked. "I know. I'm leaving." He started scrambling to his feet, panicked, like he expected to be grabbed. "Wait," Evan said. The boy froze. Evan had negotiated billion-dollar deals without his voice changing once. But now, for some reason, he sounded unsure. "Are you hurt?" The boy shook his head, then nodded, then shook it again. "I'm fine," he said. "I just needed to sit down." Evan glanced toward the school entrance. Parents were arriving. Expensive cars. Clean coats. Children laughing, complaining, dragging backpacks that cost more than this boy's entire outfit. "You're not a student here," Evan said. It wasn't a question. The boy swallowed. "No, sir." "Then why are you here?" The boy hesitated. Looked past Evan. Looked at the gate. At the plaque with Evan's name on it. "My sister goes here," he said. Evan frowned. "What grade?" "Second." Evan knew the enrollment list. He approved scholarships personally. Faces blurred together, but numbers didn't. "There's no student here with your last name," Evan said. The boy's shoulders dropped. "She uses our mom's old name," he said quietly. "I don't." Evan waited. The boy picked at the string on his backpack. "I just walk her here sometimes. Then I go." "Go where?" "Wherever." Evan looked at him properly now. The dirt on his hands. The dark circles under his eyes. The way he spoke like someone much older. "Why aren't you in school?" Evan asked. The boy laughed once. Not happy. Embarrassed. "I was," he said, "until they said I wasn't anymore." "Who said that?" "The office." Evan felt a flicker of irritation. "Why?" The boy didn't answer. Evan checked his watch. His driver was still late. His phone buzzed with messages he ignored. "Come with me?" Evan said suddenly. The boy's eyes widened. "No, I can't. I'm not supposed to go inside." "I'm not taking you inside," Evan said. "I'm getting you breakfast." "I already ate," the boy lied. Evan raised an eyebrow. The boy sighed. "Okay, I didn't." They walked to a small cafe across the street. Not one Evan usually noticed. Too small, too ordinary. Inside, the boy sat stiffly, hands in his lap, like he expected to be told to leave at any moment. "What's your name?" Evan asked. "Lucas." "Last name?" Lucas hesitated. Miller. Evan ordered 2 breakfasts. The boys stared at the plate like it might disappear if he touched it. Eat, Evan said. Lucas did. Fast. Careful. Like he'd learned not to waste time. Between bites, Evan watched him. How old are you? Evan asked. 9. You should be in school. Lucas nodded. I was. What happened? Lucas slowed, his fork hovered. They said my mom didn't fill out the right forms, he said. Then they said my address changed. Then they said I missed too many days. Why did you miss days? Lucas stared at the table. Because my mom couldn't get out of bed. Evan felt something tighten in his chest. Is she sick? Evan asked. Lucas nodded. She tries not to be. That sentence sat between them. Where is she now? Evan asked. At home, Lucas said. With my sister. Evan leaned back. So, why are you here? Lucas looked up at him, straight in the eyes. Because I saw your name, he said. And my mom said if anything ever got really bad, I should find someone whose name is on buildings. Evan said nothing. Lucas took a breath. She said people listen to you. Outside, a black car pulled up. Evan's driver. Lucas saw it too. Panic flashed across his face. I have to go, Lucas said, standing quickly. Thank you for the food. I won't come back. Lucas, Evan said. The boy stopped. What's really going on? Lucas hesitated. Then his voice dropped. They're going to take my sister out of the school today, he said. They said she doesn't belong anymore. Evan stood. Where do you live? He asked. Lucas shook his head. I'm not allowed to tell strangers. Evan nodded slowly. Then walk with me. Evan said, just the gate. Lucas hesitated, then nodded. As they stepped outside, Evan didn't notice the woman across the street watching them, but she noticed everything. They stopped at the iron gate. Parents streamed past them, swiping access cards, barely glancing at the boys standing beside a man whose face they recognized from magazines and screens. Lucas kept his head down. They said today is the last day, he whispered. After today, she can't come back. Evan didn't answer right away. Who told you that? He asked. The woman in the office. Lucas said, the one who smiles with her mouth but not her eyes. Evan looked through the gate. The building was bright, clean, safe-looking, a place meant to protect children. What's your sister's name? Evan asked. Maya. What grade? 2nd. Evan nodded. He pulled out his phone and typed quickly. Enrollment. Scholarship list. Name scrolled. There it was. Maya Reyes. Full scholarship. Attendance flagged. Review pending. Evan's jaw tightened. Lucas, he said, lowering his voice, has anyone explained this to your mom? Lucas shook his head. They only send emails. We don't have internet anymore. Evan exhaled slowly. Stay here, he said. Lucas panicked. I didn't do anything wrong. I know, Evan said. I'll be right back. Evan walked through the gate like he owned the place. Because he did. Inside, the receptionist stood up immediately. Mr. Rowland, we weren't expecting. I need to speak to the admissions office, Evan said. Of course, she said, already nervous. The office was small, too small for decisions this big. The woman behind the desk looked up, polite, professional, tired. Can I help you? She asked. Yes, Evan said. Why is Maya Reyes being removed from this school? The woman blinked. That's confidential. I'm the primary donor, Evan said calmly, and I approve her scholarship. The woman's fingers tightened around her pen. There have been concerns, she said. Attendance. Home stability. We follow policy. What policy? Evan asked. She slid a folder across the desk. Missed days. Late arrivals. Notes marked insufficient documentation. She's 8, Evan said. Her mother is sick. The woman hesitated. We empathize, but we can't be a daycare. Evan felt heat rise in his chest. This is a school, he said, not a business. The woman stiffened. With respect, sir, we serve hundreds of families. We can't make exceptions. Evan leaned forward. You already did. when you accepted my money. Silence. She stays, Evan said. That's not how it works. Then change how it works, Evan replied. Or I will. He stood. And for the record, he added, children don't lose access to education because their parents get sick. He walked out before she could respond. Outside, Lucas was pacing. They didn't call security, did they? He asked anxiously. No, Evan said. Your sister stays. Lucas froze. Really? Yes. Lucas's face didn't light up. It crumpled. He covered his mouth and turned away, shoulders shaking. Evan waited. After a moment, Lucas wiped his face with his sleeve. Thank you, he said quietly. You shouldn't have had to ask, Evan replied. The bell rang. Children poured out onto the playground. Lucas scanned the crowd until he spotted her. Maya, small, braided hair, pink jacket 2 sizes too big. She ran toward them. Lucas, she shouted. They said I had to go home early, but then they said never mind. Lucas knelt and hugged her tight. Evan watched. Something about it hurt in a way he didn't recognize. A woman stood near the fence watching them. She was thin, pale, exhausted. Their mother. When their eyes met, she stiffened. Lucas followed Evan's gaze. That's my mom, he said quickly. She doesn't like talking to important people. Evan nodded. I'm not important. Lucas looked at him, unconvinced. The woman approached slowly. Lucas, she said softly. Maya, who's this? Lucas looked up at Evan. This is the man whose name is on the building. The woman swallowed. I'm Elena, she said. Thank you for helping my children. Evan held out his hand. She hesitated, then shook it. Her grip was weak. How long have you been sick? Evan asked gently. Elena looked startled. I didn't say. Lucas did. Evan said, by accident. Elena sighed. Long enough. A black SUV slowed across the street. Evan noticed it. Elena did too. Her hand tightened on Maya's shoulder. We should go, she said quickly. Thank you again. Wait, Evan said. She paused. You need help, Evan said. Elena shook her head immediately. We're fine. The SUV stopped. A man inside watched them. Evan stepped slightly closer to Elena. You're not fine, he said, and someone is watching you. Elena's face drained of color. Lucas, she whispered, take your sister inside. But now. Maya hesitated. Lucas took her hand and led her through the gate. Evan watched the SUV. It didn't leave. Elena, Evan said quietly. Who is that? Elena's voice shook. That, she said, is why I didn't want my son talking to people like you. Evan didn't look away from the SUV. Neither did Elena. The engine idled. Too close. Too deliberate. That car has been following us, Elena said under her breath. Not just today. Evan kept his voice calm. How long? 3 weeks, she said. Maybe longer. I stopped counting. Why? Evan asked. Elena let out a weak laugh. Because I asked questions I wasn't supposed to ask. Evan turned to her. About what? About help, she said. About why my son was removed from public school before we ever missed rent. About why forms mattered more than children. Evan's jaw tightened. And now, he asked, now they say my kids might be better off somewhere else, Elena said. Somewhere supervised. Evan understood immediately. They threatened you, he said. Elena nodded once. The SUV door opened. A man stepped out. Late 30s. Clean jacket. Friendly posture that didn't match his eyes. Ms. Reyes, he called. We've been trying to reach you. Elena's body went rigid. Evan stepped forward slightly. Who are you? Evan asked. The man smiled. Just doing my job. What job is that? Evan asked. Child welfare. The man said, looking past Evan toward the school gate. We received a report. Elena's voice shook. You said you'd call first. We did, the man replied smoothly, multiple times. Evan spoke before Elena could respond. What report? Evan asked. The man finally looked at him. Recognition flickered. "Mr. Rowland," he said, "this doesn't concern you." "It does now," Evan replied. The man's smile tightened. "Ms. Reyes has missed appointments. Her children's schooling has been inconsistent. We're concerned about stability." Evan laughed once. "Cold. Her daughter is enrolled here," Evan said, "on my scholarship. Her attendance is now documented as compliant." "That's not the only concern," the man said. "Then say it," Evan replied. The man hesitated. "Just a beat too long." "There are questions about supervision," he said. "About the home environment." Evan turned to Elena. "Do you have food in your home?" "Yes," she said quickly. "Heat?" Evan asked. "Yes." "Electricity?" Elena nodded. "Any history of violence?" Evan continued. "No," she said, tears in her eyes. "Never." Evan faced a man again. "Then this is intimidation," Evan said, "not protection." The man's voice hardened. "You're crossing a line." "So are you," Evan replied, "and I suggest you leave." The man laughed. "You don't have authority here." Evan took out his phone. "Watch me," he said. He dialed a number. The man's smile faded. "Yes," Evan said into the phone. "This is Evan Rowland. I need legal counsel present at the Evan Rowland Learning Center immediately. Child welfare interference. Potential rights violation." He hung up. The man shifted his weight. "Elena," Evan said calmly, "do you consent to speaking to anyone without a lawyer present?" Elena shook her head. "No." The man exhaled sharply. "This doesn't make the situation go away." "No," Evan said. "It makes it visible." Children were watching now. Teachers, too. The man glanced around. "We'll follow up," he said, backing toward the SUV. "This isn't over." He drove off. Elena sagged like her bones had given up. Evan caught her elbow. "Let's sit," he said. They sat on the low wall. "I'm sorry," Elena said quietly. "I didn't mean to drag you into this." "You didn't," Evan said. "You walked into something broken. That's not your fault." She looked at him. "Why are you helping us?" Evan didn't answer right away. "I don't know," he said finally, "but I think I should have started a long time ago." Lucas and Maya watched from inside the gate. Lucas pressed his face against the bars. "Is she okay?" he called. Elena stood, forced a smile. "I'm okay." Evan looked at Lucas. "Walk home with them," Evan said. Elena blinked. "You don't have to." "I do," Evan said, "and you shouldn't be alone." They walked together. 3 blocks. Then 5. The neighborhood changed quickly. Cleaner streets gave way to cracked sidewalks. Closed stores. People who looked through them, not at them. "This is us," Elena said quietly, stopping in front of an old building. Paint peeled. Windows barred. Evan looked up. "How long have you lived here?" he asked. 6 years, she said, "before I got sick." "What happened?" Evan asked. Elena unlocked the door slowly. "They say stress," she said. "They always say stress." Inside, the apartment was small but clean. Toys stacked neatly. Homework papers on the table. Evan noticed the pill bottles. "Too many. You need a doctor," Evan said. "I had one," Elena replied, "until my insurance changed." Evan sat down. "I'm not leaving," he said. Elena's eyes filled. "Why?" Evan looked at Lucas and Maya. "Because someone is trying to take your children," he said. "And because that shouldn't be possible." Outside, across the street, the black SUV reappeared. And this time, Evan was sure this wasn't routine. Evan stood slowly and walked to the window. The SUV idled across the street, engine running. Lights off, not hiding, waiting. "This isn't child welfare," Evan said quietly. "This is pressure." Elena's hands trembled as she capped a pill bottle. "They did this to another woman in the building last year. Took her kids for 2 weeks. She never fought back after that." Evan turned. "Why?" Elena swallowed. "Because once they have your kids, they have you." Lucas stood near the door, listening. "Are they taking us?" Maya asked in a small voice. Elena rushed to her. "No, baby. No one is taking you." Evan knelt in front of Maya. Listen to me, he said gently. No one is taking you anywhere. Maya studied his face. Promise? Evan paused. I promise I won't let it happen, he said. It felt heavier than any contract he'd ever signed. A knock came at the door. Elena froze. Lucas stepped in front of Maya without thinking. Evan stood. Stay back, he said to Elena. He opened the door. A woman stood there. Older. Gray coat. Clipboard held tight to her chest. I'm from Housing Services, she said. We have a report of unsafe living conditions. Evan looked at her. Do you have a warrant? She blinked. Excuse me. Do you have a warrant? Evan repeated. No, but... Then you don't come in, Evan said calmly. She glanced past him, saw the children. I'm here to help, she said. Then leave, Evan replied. You're doing harm. Her lips thinned. You're making this worse for her. Evan leaned closer. You already did. He closed the door. The woman stood outside for a moment, then walked away. Elena slid down into a chair. They never come one at a time, she whispered. They come in waves until you break. Evan picked up his phone again. No more waves, he said. He made another call. I need a temporary housing hold and a child services injunction, he said into the phone. Yes, tonight. He hung up. Elena stared at him. Who are you calling? People who answer, Evan said. Lucas watched him carefully. You're rich, Lucas said. Evan looked at him. Yes. Does that mean they'll listen? Evan met his eyes. It means I won't stop until they do. Minutes passed. Then sirens in the distance. Not approaching. Passing by. The SUV across the street finally pulled away. Elena exhaled like she'd been underwater. That's the first time they left, she said. Usually they wait. Evan looked around the apartment again. You can't stay here tonight, he said. Elena's head snapped up. I can't move. That's what they want. This is different, Evan said. You're not running. You're being protected. She shook her head. I don't want shelter. I wouldn't offer one, Evan replied. He hesitated. You can stay at one of my properties, he said. Silence. Elena laughed softly. Of course you have properties. Evan didn't smile. It's temporary, he said. Safe. Quiet. No one needs to know. Lucas stepped closer to his mother. Can we trust him? He whispered. Elena looked at Evan. Really looked at him. A man who had nothing to gain from them, and everything to lose. Yes, she said finally. I think we can. They packed only what mattered. Clothes, medicine, school papers. Maya's stuffed rabbit with one ear. Evan's car waited downstairs. As they drove, Elena stared out the window. I used to believe systems worked, she said. If you followed rules, you'd be okay. Evan watched the road. I helped build some of those systems. Elena turned to him. Then why are they like this? Evan didn't answer. They arrived at a quiet building near the river. Doorman, security, warm lights. Maya's mouth fell open. Is this a hotel? She asked. No, Evan said. Just a place to rest. The apartment was modest by Evan's standards. Large by theirs. Clean beds. Heat. Silence. Elena sat on the couch, overwhelmed. I don't know how to repay you, she said. Evan shook his head. You don't. Lucas walked to the window. No bars, he said softly. Evan felt something crack inside his chest. I'll be back in the morning, Evan said. You'll have lawyers by then. Elena stood. Wait. She hesitated. Why does this matter to you? She asked. Evan looked at the children. Because once, he said quietly, I was protected by money when someone else wasn't. He left before he had to explain more. Outside, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. You're interfering. A voice said. Calm. Male. Powerful. Evan's jaw tightened. Good, he replied. The line went dead. Evan didn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse office, watching the river move like nothing in the world had changed. At 4:12 a.m., his phone buzzed again. Same number. He answered. You made a mistake tonight, the voice said. Evan leaned back in his chair. You showed up at a mother's door with no warrant. That's a mistake. Silence. You think moving them protects them, the voice said. It doesn't. Then why are you calling? Evan asked. A pause. Then, because people like you usually don't get involved. Evan's eyes hardened. People like me usually don't see it up close. The call ended. At sunrise, Evan was already moving. 2 attorneys, 1 child advocacy group, 1 emergency injunction filed before most offices opened. By 9 a.m., he was back at the apartment. Elena looked worse. Her hands shook as she poured coffee. I didn't sleep either, she said. Every sound felt like footsteps. You're safe here, Evan said. For how long? She asked. As long as I'm breathing, Evan replied. Lucas sat at the table doing homework from memory. They said I can't go back to school, he said quietly. Not yet. Evan crouched beside him. That's temporary, Evan said, and it's wrong. Lucas nodded like someone used the wrong things. A knock came. This time, Evan expected it. A woman in a navy suit stood outside. Calm. Professional. Ms. Reyes, she asked. Evan stepped forward. I'm her legal representative. The woman nodded. I'm not here to remove the children. Elena exhaled shakily. I'm here to assess, the woman continued, and to listen. They sat. Elena told her everything. The missed days, the sickness, the calls, the threats that were never written down. The woman took notes. Her face didn't soften, but it didn't harden either. This shouldn't have escalated this way, she said finally. No, Evan agreed. It shouldn't have. The woman closed her folder. There will be a pause on all actions involving your children, she said to Elena. Effective immediately. Elena covered her mouth. For how long? She whispered. Until a full review is completed, the woman said, with legal oversight. She looked at Evan. And with public visibility, she added. Evan nodded. After she left, Elena broke down. Not loudly, quietly, like someone who had been holding herself together for too long. I'm so tired, she whispered. I know, Evan said. That afternoon, Lucas went outside with a building staff member to kick a ball. Maya colored at the table. Elena slept for the first time in days. Evan stood by the window again. Down below, across the street, the black SUV was gone, but he knew better than to relax. His phone buzzed. A message. You don't understand the system you're poking. Evan typed back, then explained it to me. The reply came quickly. Some children are liabilities. Some parents are risks. Resources must be protected. Evan stared at the words. He typed slowly. Children are not line items. No response. That evening, Evan sat with Elena while she ate soup. You said you got sick before things got bad, he said. What changed? Elena hesitated. I filed a complaint, she said. About a landlord. About mold. About children getting sick. Evan's eyes sharpened. Who did you file it with? The city, she said. Housing and health. And after that? After that, she said softly, everything I did became a problem. Evan felt cold. This wasn't random. This was retaliation. He stood. I need make a few more calls, he said. Late that night, Evan met with a man he trusted. Old money. Quiet power. You're opening doors people like to keep shut, the man said. Good, Evan replied. The man sighed. If you keep pushing, they'll try to discredit you. Or her. Then we document everything. Evan said, and the children? Evan didn't hesitate. They stay with her. The man nodded slowly. You're choosing a side, he said. Evan looked out at the city lights. I already did. Across town, in an office Evan had never seen, someone pulled a file from a drawer. Elena Reyes. A new note was added. Escalate. The letter arrived without a stamp. It was slid under the door sometime after midnight. Evan found it when he arrived the next morning. Plain envelope. No return address. Inside was a single page. We are reviewing all prior complaints associated with Elena Reyes. Non-compliance may result in immediate action. Evan read it twice, then a third time. "They're trying to scare you," he said, handing it to Elena. Elena's hands shook as she read. "They always do this," she whispered. "They use words like review and concern. They never say what they mean." "They mean control," Evan said. Lucas was listening from the hallway. "Are they coming back?" he asked. Evan knelt, not without consequences. Lucas nodded, but his eyes didn't relax. That morning, Evan canceled everything. No meetings, no calls he didn't choose. He brought in a pediatrician, not one tied to any city contract. Private, quiet. She examined Elena carefully. "This isn't just stress," the doctor said when Elena stepped into the bathroom. "You've been living with mold exposure. Long term. It explains the fatigue, the shaking, the pain." Evan closed his eyes. "How long?" he asked. "Years," the doctor said. "And it's been ignored." Ignored, or dismissed, or made inconvenient. "Can she recover?" Evan asked. "With treatment," the doctor said. "And rest. Real rest." When Elena returned, Evan told her the truth. She didn't cry. She just nodded slowly. "I told them something was wrong," she said. "They said I was anxious." Evan felt anger settle into something colder. That afternoon, the school called. Evan put on speaker. "We're concerned about the visibility around this family," the administrator said carefully. "Other parents are asking questions." "Good," Evan replied. "They should." "This situation is becoming disruptive," the voice continued. Evan smiled without humor. "So is injustice," he said. The call ended quickly after that. By evening, Lucas sat at the kitchen island drawing. "What are you making?" Evan asked. "A map," Lucas said. "So if we have to move again, I know where things are." Evan swallowed. "You won't," he said. Lucas didn't look up. People always say that. That night, the phone rang again. Different number. "You're forcing our hand," the voice said. Evan leaned against the counter. "You forced hers first." "She is unstable," the voice said. "And now so are you." Evan laughed once. "You've never met instability." Silence. "You think your money makes you untouchable," the voice said. "No," Evan replied. "I think your silence made you powerful. And now it's gone." The voice lowered. "If you keep this up, the children will suffer." Evan's voice changed. "If you touch those children," he said, "you won't just have lawyers to worry about." The line went dead. Later, when the apartment was quiet, Evan sat alone. He opened an old file on his laptop. Years ago, a different city, a different woman, a settlement, quiet, buried, a mother who had lost custody after filing complaints no one wanted. Evan had signed off on the legal strategy back then. He hadn't asked questions. He closed the file. In the living room, Elena slept on the couch. Lucas and Maya slept in the bedroom. Evan stood and looked at them through the open door. Two children who had learned to listen for footsteps, to read adult faces, to stay small. Something in Evan hardened. Not anger. Resolve. His phone buzzed with a message from one of his attorneys. They're preparing an emergency removal request. Weak grounds, but fast. Evan typed back. Then we go faster. He sent another message. And another. By midnight. A press contact had been quietly alerted. By morning, a hearing would be unavoidable. Evan sat back down. This wasn't charity anymore. This was exposure. And someone, somewhere knew it. The courthouse hallway smelled like old paper and coffee. Evan sat on a hard bench beside Elena. Lucas stood in front of her, arms crossed like a guard. Maya leaned against Elena's side, half asleep. They had been given 6 hours' notice. Emergency hearing. Family court. Fast. Quiet. Dangerous. "This is where they win," Elena whispered. "Everything happens too fast." Evan shook his head. "Not today." Across the hall, two men in suits spoke softly with a woman holding a thick folder. They didn't look at Elena. They didn't need to. The courtroom doors opened. "Rhea's matter," the clerk called. They went in. The judge was older, Tired eyes. No patience for drama. Let's keep this brief, the judge said. I have a full docket. The city's attorney stood. Your Honor, we are requesting temporary removal of the children pending investigation, she said. There are concerns regarding housing instability, medical neglect, and outside interference. Evans stood. With respect, he said, those claims are inaccurate. The judge looked at him. And you are? Evan Rowland, he said, legal advocate for Ms. Reyes. Recognition flickered. The Evan Rowland, the judge said. Yes, Evan replied. And I'm here because this case is being rushed for reasons that have nothing to do with child safety. The city attorney stiffened. Objection. Speculation. Evan didn't sit. I'd like to submit medical documentation, he said. Independent evaluation. Evidence of environmental illness caused by the family's former residence. Illness that explains missed days and fatigue. The judge held out a hand. The clerk passed the file. Evan continued. I'd also like to submit records showing repeated attempts by Ms. Reyes to seek help through proper channels, followed by increased scrutiny immediately after she filed formal complaints. The judge flipped through pages. The city attorney spoke quickly. The department denies retaliation. Evan nodded. Of course it does. The judge looked up. Ms. Reyes, do you wish to speak? Elena's hands trembled. She stood anyway. I love my children, she said. I have always taken care of them. I asked for help because I was sick, not because I was dangerous. Her voice cracked. They told me I was a problem, she said. Not my illness. Me. Silence filled the room. Lucas took a step forward without realizing it. The judge noticed. How old are you? The judge asked him. 9, Lucas said. Do you feel safe with your mother? The judge asked. Yes, Lucas said immediately. Do you want to stay with her? Yes, he said again. Louder. The city attorney objected. Children shouldn't testify. I asked. The judge said sharply. The judge leaned back. This court does not remove children because a parent gets sick, she said, nor because a complaint made someone uncomfortable. The city attorney's face tightened. I am denying emergency removal, the judge said. All actions paused pending full review. Elena covered her mouth. Lucas exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Maya smiled without fully understanding. The judge looked directly at Evan. And Mr. Rowland, she added, your presence has accelerated this process. Yes, Evan said. Good, the judge replied. Sunlight usually does. Outside the courtroom, the city attorney walked past them without a word. But Evan saw the look. This wasn't over. On the courthouse steps, Elena's legs gave out. Evan caught her before she fell. We won, she asked weakly. For now, Evan said, and for today that matters. Lucas looked up at him. Are they still mad? He asked. Evan met his eyes. Yes, he said honestly, but now they're careful. That afternoon, Evan's phone rang nonstop. Board members, donors, media. He ignored most of it, but one call he took. You embarrass the city? The voice said. Evan stepped away from the family. No, he replied. I exposed it. You're risking partnerships, the voice warned. I'm risking silence, Evan said, and silence is worse. The call ended. That night, back at the apartment, Elena sat on the floor with the children. They were laughing, really laughing. Evan watched from the doorway. He hadn't heard that sound in a long time. His phone buzzed with a message from his attorney. They're digging into your past cases, looking for leverage. Evan stared at the screen. He typed back, let them, because this time he wouldn't look away. The first article didn't mention Elena's name. It mentioned Evan's. Billionaire inserts himself into family court case. Evan read it once, then closed it. By noon, there were 3 more. Some praised him. Some questioned his motives. Some dug. Elena didn't read any of them. She was too busy learning how to breathe, without fear. That afternoon, a social worker arrived. Different one this time. Younger. Careful. I'm here to do a home visit, she said. Routine. Evan stayed. She noted the food, the beds, the quiet. She watched Lucas explain his drawing. Maya show her rabbit. She wrote slowly. "This is a stable environment," she said finally. "Much more than before." Elena nodded, because someone listened. The social worker looked at Evan. "That makes a difference." After she left, Lucas asked the question Evan knew was coming. "Are you going to leave?" Lucas asked. Evan didn't answer right away. "No," he said. "Not now." Lucas studied him. People always leave when things get hard. Evan felt that one land. "I'm not people," he said. That night, Evan met with his attorneys. "They're building a narrative," one said, "that you're overstepping, that you're controlling." "Am I?" Evan asked. "No," the attorney said, "but they'll say it anyway." "Let them," Evan replied. Another attorney leaned forward. "They're also revisiting a seal case from 12 years ago." Evan's jaw tightened. "The one with the relocation agreement." The attorney said, "A mother, 2 kids." "I remember," Evan said quietly. "You signed the final approval," the attorney said. "It didn't violate the law, but it won't look good." Evan nodded. "Unseal it," he said. The room went silent. "Voluntarily?" someone asked. "Yes," Evan said. "Before they do." "Why?" the attorney asked. Evan thought of Lucas drawing maps, of Maya sleeping without flinching. "Because if I'm asking the truth from others," he said, "I don't get to hide mine." The next morning, the story changed. Billionaire releases past settlement documents, admits mistakes. The phone rang again. And again, Evan didn't pick up. He drove to the apartment instead. Elena was sitting at the table, pale, holding her phone. "They sent me a letter," she said. "From who?" Evan asked. "From the city," she replied. "They're reopening my old complaint, the mold one." Evan smiled faintly. "That's good," he said. Elena looked confused. "How is that good?" "Because they wouldn't reopen it unless they were afraid," Evan said. "And fear makes people honest." Lucas ran in from the bedroom. "They're fixing the building," he said excitedly. "I heard them say it downstairs." Evan froze. "Fixing it." Elena nodded slowly. "Inspectors came this morning. Real ones." Outside, trucks lined the street near the old building. People in uniforms, clipboards, masks. The system was moving, not because it wanted to, because it had been seen. That evening, Evan sat with Elena on the balcony. "I'm scared," she admitted, "that when this ends, we'll be alone again." Evan looked out at the river. "This doesn't end," he said. "It changes." She looked at him. "And you?" He thought for a long moment. "I don't get to go back," he said. "And I don't want to." Below them, the city lights came on. Somewhere deep inside its machinery, gears were grinding. And for the first time, they weren't grinding in silence. The first subpoena arrived on a Tuesday. Evan read it at the kitchen counter, while Lucas ate cereal and Maya colored. They didn't notice. "Not yet. Is that another letter?" Maya asked. "Yes," Evan said. "Boring adult stuff." She nodded, satisfied. The subpoena wasn't about Elena. It was about Evan, his companies, his foundations, his donations to city programs. They were tracing influence now, looking for a way to say this wasn't about justice. It was about power. That afternoon, Evan testified before a city oversight panel. Long table, cameras, polite smiles. "Do you deny using your wealth to affect the outcome of a child welfare case?" one council member asked. Evan didn't hesitate. "No," he said. "I use my resources to stop harm." "That's influence," the council member said. "That's responsibility," Evan replied. Another voice cut in. "Would the outcome have been the same without your involvement?" Evan looked straight ahead. "No," he said. The room shifted. "Then how is this fair?" the council member asked. Evan leaned forward. "It's not," he said. "And that's the point." Silence. Outside, reporters swarmed. Evan left through a side door. At the apartment, Elena was quiet. "They're saying you manipulated everything," she said. "They're saying I showed the cracks," Evan replied. Lucas looked up from the floor. "Are you in trouble?" he asked. Evan knelt beside him. "Yes," he said, "but not the kind that scares me." Lucas nodded. "Grown-up trouble." "Exactly." That night, someone tried to break the story. Anonymous sources claimed Elena had coached her children, that Evan was grooming a narrative. The article was weak, retracted within hours. But Elena shook. "I can't go through this again," she said. "I don't have it in me." Evan sat beside her. "You don't have to fight," he said. "I will." The next day, a call came from the mayor's office. "We'd like to meet," the aide said. "Public or private?" Evan asked. A pause. "Private." "Then no," Evan replied. "If you have something to say it where everyone can hear." The meeting was scheduled anyway. Press present. The mayor spoke carefully. "We acknowledge mistakes," she said, "and we are committed to reform." Evan listened. Then he spoke. "You don't need another committee," he said. "You need fewer secrets." That quote ran everywhere. 2 days later, a policy memo leaked. Emergency removals now required independent medical review. Retaliation complaints triggered automatic oversight. Elena read it 3 times. "This helps people like us," she said softly. "Yes," Evan replied. "It helps people you'll never meet." That evening, Lucas brought Evan a folded piece of paper. "I made another map," he said. "This one's different." Evan opened it. It wasn't streets. It was people. Elena, Maya, a teacher, the doctor, Evan, lines drawn between them. "This is who keeps us safe," Lucas said. Evan's throat tightened. Late that night, Evan received one last call. "You could have stopped," the voice said. "You could have walked away." Evan looked at the children sleeping down the hall. "I couldn't," he said. The voice sighed. "Then this changes you." "Yes," Evan replied. "That's the idea." He ended the call. Outside, the city kept moving, but somewhere inside it, the rules were no longer invisible. And neither were the people they protected. The offer came quietly. No letterhead. No press release. Just a call. "If you step back," the voice said, "we'll make sure the family is left alone. Permanently." Evan stood at the window, watching traffic slide by like nothing mattered. "And the next family?" he asked. Silence. "There's always a next family," the voice finally said. Evan closed his eyes. "That's why I'm not stepping back," he replied. The call ended without threat this time. That worried him more. 2 days later, Elena collapsed in the kitchen. Not dramatically. No scream. Just a slow slide to the floor. Lucas froze. "Mama," he whispered. Evan was beside her in seconds. "Call the doctor," Evan said, already lifting her. At the hospital, fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Tests. Blood work. Waiting. The doctor came out with tired eyes. "She's exhausted," she said. "Her body has been fighting for her too long. She needs stability. Long term." Evan nodded. "She'll have it." Elena woke hours later. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm ruining everything." Evan sat beside her bed. "You're surviving," he said. "That's not ruining anything." She looked at him. "What if I can't take care of them the way I should?" Evan didn't answer immediately. "What if you don't have to do it alone?" he said instead. Her eyes filled. That night, Lucas sat on the floor of the apartment, legs crossed. "Are we moving again?" he asked. "No," Evan said. "We're staying." "Forever?" Maya asked hopefully. Evan smiled softly. "As long as you want." Lucas studied him. "People say things when they're being nice," he said. "Then they change." Evan nodded. "That's true." Lucas waited. "I won't," Evan said. The next week, Evan stood in front of another panel. This time, he wasn't alone. Elena sat behind him. So did 2 other parents. And another, and another. Stories poured out. Quiet, clear, similar. Missed forms. Sudden visits. Threats disguised as concern. The room changed as they spoke. This wasn't one case anymore. It was a pattern. Outside, cameras waited. Inside, something cracked wide open. That evening, Evan walked home with the children. No driver. No security. Just 4 people on a sidewalk. Lucas kicked a stone ahead of him. "Do you think it's really changing?" he asked. Evan thought carefully. "I think it's slower than it should be," he said. "But faster than it was." Lucas nodded. Maya reached for Evan's hand. He took it without thinking. At home, Elena watched him from the doorway. Something like relief crossed her face. Later that night, Evan sat alone at his desk. He opened a document. Not a contract, not a statement. A guardianship petition. He didn't sign it yet. He just let it sit there. In the other room, Lucas taped his new map to the wall. This one had a new word written at the top. Home. Evan turned off the light. For the first time in a long while, the city outside felt quieter. Not because it had stopped, but because someone had finally listened. The hearing for guardianship wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No cameras inside. Just a long wooden table and questions asked in careful voices. Elena sat straight, hands folded. Evan sat beside her. Lucas and Maya waited in the hall with a volunteer who brought them juice and crackers. Ms. Reyes, the judge, said, "Do you understand what temporary guardianship means?" Elena nodded. "Yes, it means help, not replacement." "And you consent?" the judge asked. "Yes," she said quietly, "because I want my children safe even on days when my body fails me." The judge turned to Evan. "Mr. Rowland, this is not charity," she said. "This is responsibility." "I understand," Evan replied. "I'm not here to be generous. I'm here to be present." The judge studied him. "You have no biological tie to these children," she said. "No," Evan agreed, "but I have a moral one." Silence. Then a nod. "Temporary guardianship is granted," the judge said. "Effective immediately. Review in 6 months." Outside, Lucas stood up so fast he knocked his chair over. Maya clapped without knowing why. Elena covered her face and cried for the first time in weeks. Evan didn't celebrate. He breathed. That night, the apartment felt different. Not bigger. Safer. Lucas helped Evan make dinner. "Do guardians cook?" Lucas asked. "They learn." Evan said. Maya insisted on setting the table. "Because families do that," she said proudly. Elena watched from the couch, wrapped in a blanket. "You don't have to do all this," she said. Evan looked at her. "I know. That's why it matters." Later, when the kids were asleep, Elena spoke. "I don't want to disappear," she said. "I don't want to be erased from their lives." "You won't be," Evan said immediately. "This isn't a rescue story. It's a support one." She nodded slowly. "I just don't want to fail them again." Evan's voice was steady. "You didn't fail. You were failed." The next morning, Lucas packed his bag. "Where are we going?" Evan asked. "School," Lucas said. "You said it's temporary." Evan smiled. "You're right." He drove them himself. At the gate, a few parents stared. Lucas noticed. "Are they judging us?" he asked. "Yes," Evan said. Lucas thought about that. "Okay," he said. "They don't know our map." Inside, a teacher knelt in front of Lucas. "We're glad you're back," she said. Lucas nodded. "Me too." Maya waved goodbye like nothing in the world was wrong. Back in the car, Evan sat for a moment before starting the engine. His phone buzzed. A message from the city. The oversight report would be released publicly next week. Names. Patterns. Recommendations. Evan stared at the screen. Then he drove. That afternoon, a man waited in Evan's office. Older. Expensive suit. Familiar face. One of the board. "You're burning bridges," the man said. Evan sat down calmly. "Good," he replied. "Some bridges only exist to keep people out." "You're changing the rules," the man warned. Evan leaned forward. "No," he said. "I'm reminding people why they exist." The man stood to leave. "This will cost you," he said. Evan nodded. "It already has. And it's worth it." That night, Lucas knocked on Evan's door. "Can I ask something?" he said. "Always," Evan replied. "Do you think my mom will get better?" Lucas asked. Evan didn't lie. "I think she has a real chance now," he said. Lucas nodded, satisfied. He turned to go, then stopped. "Thanks for not leaving," he said. Evan watched him walk back down the hall. Then he signed the document on his desk, not to replace a mother, but to make sure no child ever had to stand alone again. The report was released on a Friday morning. 112 pages. No names hidden. No language softened. Patterns. Timelines. Emails. Internal notes that were never meant to be read outside closed offices. By noon, it was everywhere. City admits failures in child welfare oversight. Retaliation confirmed. Emergency removals misused. Families harmed. Elena read it slowly at the kitchen table. Lucas sat beside her, sounding out words he didn't understand. Maya colored quietly. "They believe me," Elena said finally. Evan nodded. They couldn't ignore it anymore. That afternoon, resignations followed. Quiet ones, then loud ones. A department head stepped down. An internal review expanded. New rules were announced. Not promises. Rules. Independent advocates required. Medical verification mandatory. Anonymous complaints tracked instead of buried. It didn't fix everything, but it cracked the wall. A week later, Elena stood in a different doctor's office. Real tests. Real explanations. A treatment plan that didn't dismiss her pain. "This will take time," the doctor said. "But you're not imagining it. You never were." Elena cried in the car afterward. Not from fear. From relief. Life settled into something unfamiliar. Routine. Lucas complained about homework. Maya lost her rabbit and found it again. Elena cooked when she could. Rested when she couldn't. Evan learned where the cereal was kept. One evening, Lucas sat at the table working on a new map. This one was bigger. "What's that?" Evan asked. "A timeline," Lucas said. "So I remember how things change." Evan watched him draw a line. Before, then a dot. The day at the school gate. After. "Do you think other kids will be okay now?" Lucas asked. Evan thought carefully. "I think it'll be harder for people to hurt them quietly," he said. Lucas nodded. "That's good." 6 months passed. The review hearing came. Elena stood stronger this time. Still tired, but steady. The judge smiled. "Guardianship can be dissolved if you wish," she said. Elena looked at Evan, then at her children. "I don't want it dissolved," she said. "I want it shared." Silence, then approval. Outside, Maya jumped up and down. "So we're all staying?" she asked. "Yes," Elena said. "We're all staying." That night, they ate dinner together. No speeches, no announcements, just plates and laughter and small moments. Later, Evan stood alone on the balcony. The city looked the same, but he knew better now. Elena joined him. "I used to think help always came with a price," she said. Evan looked at her. "Sometimes it comes with responsibility instead." She smiled. Inside, Lucas taped his final map to the wall. At the top, in careful letters, he wrote, "This is how we did not disappear." Evan turned off the lights before bed. For the first time in his life, he wasn't thinking about what he owned. He was thinking about who he was accountable to, and that felt like enough. Story complete.